Hey ladies, welcome to Arise podcast. We are celebrating Women's Month, and with that, I am having conversations with 3 different ladies, and I really believe and trust that this is going to be so encouraging for you in your walk with God and in the different season that you find yourself in as a woman. Let's get on with it. Here we go. Hey ladies, welcome to our second podcast for Arise. I am super excited. Today I've got a very dear friend, Shelly Anderson, joining me and joining us today. So welcome, Shell.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm trusting that the girls that are watching, the ladies that are watching are going to be inspired, are going to be encouraged by our conversation. And as you know, we are in Women's Month, August, celebrating women. I've really had on my heart and to really share about how to thrive in God in the different seasons that you're in as a woman. Obviously, as a woman, we go through so many different seasons, you know, single and then dating and then married and then having young babies and then, you know, the kids grow up and leave home and grandparents. My heart is just to encourage women how to thrive within those different seasons, how to find God, how to find life through the ups and downs and the challenges. And Shells, you and Brett are absolute champions. You have been a part of Century City, part of Life Changes for 23 years. That's amazing. 23 years. That's longer than Mark and I. Yeah. And you've got 2 girls. Brett is 25 and Sarah is 20.
Yes.
And they are out of the house now. So you are in that empty nest sort of season.
Yes.
Which is big, I can imagine. And just maybe you can just open up and start sharing about what are some of the challenges, the season that you're in now, having the girls out of home, trying to kind of find your feet and just a whole new thing for marriage, for just who you are as a person. Also, just to mention that Charles was with us on staff for 3 years. Yep. And beginning of the year, you stepped off staff, so now you are at home.
Yes.
And navigating all of that. So, Charles?
So much. I think the empty nest season it's been a real journey. I think at the beginning, when Sarah left for university, because obviously Brittany being older than Sarah, had already left home, so Sarah went off to university and it was just Brett and I. And you know, when you do have children, it's busy and you are fetching from school and extramurals and it's tiring, but I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And I had the privilege of being a stay-at-home mom. And then when Sarah left, it was quite deflating for me. I think you kind of, so much of your identity can be found in your kids.
Absolutely.
You know, and
it is a part of who you are as a mom. You know, being a mother is very much a part of your identity and who you are and what you do. And it's such a busy, demanding season of your life for many, many years. To now, all of a sudden, you know, they're gone. Yeah. And it's like, all of a sudden.
Yeah. All of a sudden.
You know,
You know, you try and prepare and you drop them. You know, you drop them off at university and you come home and it's like that's it. But I think it wasn't too bad. I was still working for the church. I was still on staff at the church when Sarah left, so it wasn't too bad. I still had things to do. But when I stepped off staff at the beginning of the year, it was tough. I went through lots of moments of feeling like I was useless. Like, what now, God? What is this season for me? How do you want it to look? And one thing that I really, really do want to be intentional is to do what God wants me to do and to use me the way that He wants me to be used. So the one thing it has really, really done is really made me dive deep into the Word.
Brilliant.
And just pray that He uses me. And also in waiting, not just being idle, but doing something. So meeting with ladies, starting a ladies group at Century City, which has been amazing. And I love meeting one-on-one with ladies. So it's been really, really good. But yeah, I think so many years of being a mom and feeling like, you know, you need it. And then all of a sudden they still need you in some form, but not so much, because
not as hands-on.
You know, you've managed to get two humans to be able to move out of the house, and they are able to make their own way, which is a huge privilege and a well done.
And well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
So that's always a celebration.
Yeah.
It's just the okay, well, you know, I can input into your life, but not as much as I did. I can tell you what to do, or I used to be able to tell you what you should do, but now I can't.
Now you pray,
now you just pray, and and you have to learn to let them make, you know, their own decisions, because that's what you know, you have instill values in them, it's time for them to make their own decisions, and you learn to keep your mouth closed when the time is needed, and
poker face,
poker face,
just calm.
My husband says I don't have a good poker face.
I'm working on mine with my teenager boys. I'm literally working on my calm, collected face when they are telling me things. Because you want them to tell you stuff.
Well, that's
you want
the thing.
them to come
that's
to you.
The thing. And
your response is important.
Brett always tells me that my face says 1,000 words without me actually opening my mouth. But so just being able to, but you know, in that space of allowing them just to get on with life, knowing that you are a safe space for them to come to.
That's so good.
If and when they
that's so
advice
good,
or anything like that.
That's so good. Yeah. And I think also, like, I keep, I've seen how some marriages, you know, they're so focused on the kids their whole identity is wrecked.
Yes.
I understand part of it is a part of our identity as mothers is in our kids. But when your whole world revolves around them, that you forget about your husband and your friends, and then they all of a sudden leave, then your whole world falls apart, you know. And I've seen that. And so I hope that I'm also making sure that I'm intentional, you know, with my husband, and my husband comes first before my kids. Like, and Mark says that to the boys. My wife comes first before you. I love you boys, but you know, if we're good in our marriage, then it spills over to our kids. But so I think it's just to be intentional with in those years before, when your kids are at home, to make sure that you are, you know, giving time to your friends, giving time to church, giving time to your work, giving as much as you can, you know.
Absolutely.
But and in terms of marriage, like, I suppose it's a whole new thing as well for you guys. So tell me a little bit about that, you know.
I didn't think about what marriage would look like when the girls left home. Brett and I had always, when the girls were still at home, we always made time for marriage. We always,
you guys have always been good with that.
For many years, and I didn't really give it much thought. And it was the one thing that has been the hardest, is realizing that it's just the two of us. There is there's nobody else. And so for me personally, I can't speak for Brett, but for me personally, it took a few months to adjust to, I guess there was some expectation of the way I thought, you know, things were going to be, but in the end, he still has a job. He owns his own business. And so he still travels and everything like that. And so when he travels, I'm at home by myself, which I do enjoy, but, you know, it is being on my own. And I think it took me a good few months to be able to look at it differently, to look at marriage differently. and embrace it for the new season that it is. And
navigate as you go.
And
absolutely.
Absolutely. Because so much of our time, like you said, when we are married and our kids are at home, is spent talking about the children and what they look like and everything
a
like
lot
that.
of the times.
And so now, we still obviously talk about the girls, but it's not.
We've got way more time.
Yeah, we still have much time for ourselves. And so just finding that sweet spot.
Yeah.
And I have learned to love every moment that Brett and I get to spend together. It's such a
wow.
Yeah, I think it's strengthened our marriage.
Yeah, sure.
That's
so good.
We never knew what it was like to live by ourselves. When our first child was born, Brits, we didn't know Jesus, so we have never lived by ourselves. We had Brittany very soon after we started dating.
Yeah.
And so we've never lived by ourselves.
Wow.
So it was the first time that we were actually living by ourselves.
Wow.
And it's amazing. Yeah, I love it. Wow. I do. I love it. As much as I miss the girl, I love just being able to have quality time with my
But you guys have always been so good with prioritizing your marriage. I remember you always had your date mornings or whatever, or lunch dates, or you guys have been so intentional with your marriage. And I think that spills over into this season now as well. All those years have been so intentional. So well done, Charles. It's just, you guys really are an example and an inspiration. You really are to many, many people.
Thanks.
And so what scriptures have you held on to in this season? Maybe you can share a little bit on that,
So in February, I did a very quick Bible study on abiding, the word abiding. And the word abide basically means to remain in something.
Yes, yeah.
And so John 15 verses 1 and verses 4, where it talks about that that Jesus is the vine, and
we are the branch.
We are the branches, and the Lord is the gardener.
Yeah,
and we have to remain in something, and He will prune what needs to be pruned. And I think that's a seasonal thing. It's I don't know much about wine and how the process works, but
gardening.
Yeah, I'm not very a gardener, but I think for me, just remaining in something. So whatever that looks like in your season. So for me, remaining, not being, not putting my hands up in the air and going, okay, well, my season of being a mother is over and now I've got nothing to live for. Actually, that's not the case. It's like, okay, God, I'm gonna remain, and you need to prune the branches that actually the season is over. So those branches are no longer needed.
Oh, wow.
But pruning can be painful.
Yes.
But there comes growth. So like
you want to be pruned in order for new life and new growth. Yeah.
So I think that for me has been really, really
that's so good.
Yeah, something that I've held on to and just embraced, and being very honest with God and just asking Him what do I need to prune in order for me to flourish and grow and thrive.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And these different seasons and these different pruning for different. They don't know much about God. But that's brilliant. That's very encouraging.
Yeah.
And Charles, as we've got a few more minutes left, but maybe what is I know you've already encouraged ladies in your season, but there's one last encouragement you want to give for ladies that are in your season right now of empty nest and are really struggling to find themselves and asking God, what now? Like, what is your main encouragement for them?
I think it would be to just constantly be in the Word.
Yeah.
Don't become despondent. Embrace the season.
Yeah.
Give yourself a high five.
Yeah. Well done.
You have been able to get your children out of the house.
It's incredible.
And they are able to thrive.
Yeah.
I think that is It's number one for me.
Massive.
I'm just like, your Lord, thank you.
Contributing adults
Praise
to
the
this
Lord.
world.
Praise the
Yeah.
Lord. They're keeping themselves alive. They don't need our
Yes.
help.
Well,
And if you are married, then make time for your hubby and don't
and embrace the new.
embrace it.
Embrace what
Yeah.
God can do
Yes.
with you in this season. You've got more time. You've got more space. You've got, there's something new that He can do in your marriage.
Absolutely.
So it's pretty exciting. It's scary, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But exciting because it's new, So just
Absolutely.
embrace it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I have to ask you this
Yes.
because I'm in that stage with teenage boys, tweens and teens.
Well,
But Charles, you've encouraged me so much, just seeing some of the stuff that your girls have gone through, and it wasn't always easy, but you held on to God, you stood your ground, and you didn't lose faith. You trusted Him through those difficult teenage years.
Yes.
And it's been such an encouragement for me to see you, my friend, and to see your girls just thriving and loving Jesus, loving God, doing well. Brittany's getting married soon, and Sarah's doing so well with her studies and serving and loving God, and both of them loving God.
Yeah.
What is your encouragement for some of the moms there with teenagers that might be going through some rough times?
Sure. Consistently pray for your kids.
Yeah.
One big thing for me was when the girls were a bit younger. I remember we were going through some challenges with both of them at the same time. And I remember God just reminded me that they are His before they are mine. And just remembering that and holding on to that and handing them over daily to God. And like we were talking about that.
The poker face.
Just keep it there, ladies. Keep it there.
Because you want this bridge.
You do. I think the more you react, the less likely they are to see you as a safe space.
Yeah,
they don't want
so good.
They don't want to. If you show that you are like
freaking out,
totally freaking out, you can go and do that at a later stage. Yeah. Go into your room and scream into a pillow or something like that.
Yeah.
But if they can see that you are calm, they are more than likely going to come back and feel free to go to process with you or to tell you something that is happening in their lives. And the other big thing for me was to embrace community. There are so many amazing people that our kids have the opportunity to be able to go to if they don't feel comfortable coming to their parents. And that was something that I always embraced. I never felt betrayed or threatened by if one of my girls felt more comfortable going to somebody that we knew as a family and trusted as a family. We knew was a God, loved Jesus and was in the Word. I never felt threatened. And I think that is, I think for me it was a big help because we are in community.
It takes a village.
It does take a village. And sometimes our kids do feel a little bit more comfortable talking about certain,
especially when they're teenagers.
And
they are, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's not like you're a bad mom or a bad parent and you've failed.
No,
it's quite normal for a teenage girl or boy to want to talk to somebody else. Obviously, someone who's God fearing, God.
Absolutely.
You can trust.
That was one thing that I was so grateful for was knowing that my girls had access to incredible women.
And that's the church. That is the church. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
We don't get to do this on our own. Sure, Charles, that was incredible. Some pearls of wisdom there, my friend. Thank you so much. I know that I've often looked to you and your marriage and your parenting, and it's encouraged me and it's helped me through some of my stuff, So, and I'm really trusting and praying that this has been a helpful conversation to the ladies that are watching. I don't know who's watching out there, but really I pray that this is helpful for you in your season. I loved your last few points, just to pray for your kids, pray, know that they're God's children before they are ours.
Yep.
That is always my thing, Lord. These books are yours before they're mine.
Amen.
And then what was the last one you said?
Just about don't feel threatened.
Community. Yeah, let us speak to other God-fearing men and women that you trust. And so I really hope that this has been helpful. I can't wait to do the next and last podcast next week. But tune in there and I will see you there. Thank you so much, Shell.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.